Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining, the interwebs, the worst named legal show on the planet. I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And I am definitely not Leighton Gay. How dare you? How dare you? Drexel is not here. I don't have any guests. I have no tech issues other than my own, and they are voluminous, but absent today. So, yeah. No, I'm not late. I'm probably heterosexual, and I'll fist fight anyone who says otherwise, because it's the internet and we throw fist fights whenever anything goes wrong. Hold on, let me adjust this. You know it's gonna go wrong when I adjust this mic. There we go. There we go. Oh my goodness. How are you guys? How was your weekend? I hope it was good. Today, the weekend here was pretty good. Today has been an absolute catastrophe as far as the weather is concerned in Minnesota here. It's cold, it's rainy, and it's garbage. I hate it. Thank you. Thank you for ushering in some sort of winter fall mix of garbage. God, I hate being cold and rained on. Look, listen, I just have to get that out. And before any of you really get weirded out by that, it's not so much me. It's when you have little people with you with little tiny legs that don't move into cars very fast. So you have to throw them in as they run up, and you have to stand out there in the cold and the rain. Oh my God, I just hate rain. And then everything's wet. Okay, I had to get that off my chest. It's been grating at me all day. So we have some legal topics to discuss this evening. It's a Monday miscellaneous show. There's not a lot of movement in the main cases we're watching. Obviously the Vic case is waiting for a notice of appeal to be filed. After that notice of appeal will be filed, then we'll eventually see some appellate documents and stuff like that. As far as other developments in that case, I've heard there might be something going on, but I don't know what it is. There may be some documents popping up sometime soon that don't necessarily have to do with the appeal. And of course, we'll cover those. And see what's happening. I hope to get some more information on that tomorrow, but I haven't been able to secure any information on it so far. Hold on. Oh, that's that. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking for the liquor. So that's where the Vic case is. It's in a holding pattern. And of course, like I said, we have other things to talk about. I'll be looking for other main cases to follow as well. There's some candidates out there, both with documents, and then there are cases out there without documents. I was just reading up on some guy had sent my intern some tweets about something right out of Flower Mound, Texas, and that is involving a guy who I believe his ex-wife is trying to get a gender reassignment on one of their minor children or something like that, and he's trying to fight against that. And I don't know anything other than that very basic thing right now. So you can see the degeneracy runs deep in Flower Mound. Apparently. Listen, I don't care where you are on the trans topic. I don't care if you're trans or not. That doesn't bother me. But I think that's a decision that's made by adults for themselves, not by parents for their children. That that is a bridge beyond my capacity to walk, so to speak. Oh, good. I just remember. I just poured this. I'm telling you, the rain, man, it kills me. I just poured this and almost forgot it was military special before I drank it. Oh, all right. So we're gonna open up this I guess the show, right? We're gonna open up the show in just a few minutes here with we're gonna go through the Supreme Court dealing with the Michigan electoral maps. This is a gerrymandering case. It's been pending since 2011, which is great. That's fantastic. Since 2011, this case has been battered around the courts. Or, well, not since 2011 for the courts. They redrew the maps in 2011 following the 2010 census. Of course, next year we've got a new census. So the Supreme Court figured it better tackle this. Why? Oh, my God. The autofocus. No. Hold on, we're getting this. Stupid autofocus. Why is it? What is it focusing on? It must be focusing on one end of my nose, like the one that's close to my face. So then, or no, the one, it must be focusing on the tip of my nose. Therefore, it can't possibly get clarity on anything so far away from that spot. But yeah, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what gerrymandering is. A little bit, how this case has progressed through the courts. Very high level stuff, but it's interesting. It's interesting, and we'll talk a little bit about the Supreme Court doctrine they applied to reach their decision, because it's an important doctrine to remember in quite a few things that I've been getting requests to talk about these bigger constitutional issues, especially involving the president. We have impeachment and stuff looming on the horizon, and how this all kind of wraps into that. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about how red flag laws have saved us. The race war was coming. I don't know if you guys were aware, but the race war was on the way, and the Seattle police red flag lawed one guy, and they averted the race war. So that happened. Thank God. Thank God for the heroic actions of the Seattle police stopping the entire race war. I mean, you might think I'm exaggerating how effective the Seattle police were in stopping the looming race war that was coming. But that's just because you think I'm the one exaggerating or something. So we'll talk about that. And I want to talk about that specifically because this is all going to be in articles. One, we just talked about red flag laws. But I want to talk about this. This is a use of red flag laws that is a very popular idea behind the concept of red flag laws. And of course is going to be the way they trot out and advertise the red flag laws to the normie people out there who aren't following this, who don't really care about the constitutional issues at play, who aren't worried about substantive due process or anything like that. This is how they're going to market this to either your mom or your friend's mom and say, look, we stopped the race war. This is what red flag laws are intended to do in that sense. In that sense. And it's a justification of government overreach and a suppression of speech that, and I'm going to give a warning about speech, I guess, because the race war. And we'll watch a short video on that. Hopefully that'll get copyright claimed or whatever, and so we can challenge it. Because YouTube is being great. Oh, I got an update. If you guys remember, I played some audio from Chris Sabat, right? Chris Sabat, along with Sean Schemmel and some other people, but mainly it was Chris Sabat's audio. And it wasn't his audio that was copyright claimed. It was actually the background music from a Dragon Ball Z episode. They copyright claimed not Funimation, not Toei, not even the composer of the music, some random like South American copyright troll farm copyright claimed all the music from that episode. And so then, but I did challenge it. And then when I replayed that same clip for Drexel, the 4.5-minute one, right, with all the rape, that one, when I replayed, or when I played that for Drexel, they copyright claimed it again. And so I did appeal it and defeated the troll farm with my masterfully worded appeal of nuh-uh. So that was great. Fantastic. So there's that. That was just a minor update for you guys. Okay, and then after the race war, we're going to talk about Minnesota. The ACLU of Minnesota is suing the state for protection of voting rights for felons. And we'll talk about that a little bit. And then I'm going to give you there's some minor other things tonight. One, we're going to talk about a woman scientist who was bullied hard by the internet, but she was able to recover. She's able to recover with the support of her team and her friends. So we'll talk about that massive amount of bullying she received. I don't know how she was able to overcome the bullying that she got online. It's a proud day. It's a proud day when someone can overcome the bullying. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you guys a preview. I think I'm going to put together a short video either tonight or early tomorrow. I'd really want it to come out midday tomorrow, but I'll give you guys a preview tonight in the hopes, here's my hope, that if I preview this topic tonight, you guys will watch the video when it pops up tomorrow and then help me share it around. And this video is on the difference between decriminalized weed and legal weed. I'm going to start talking a little bit more about legalization of marijuana in Minnesota particularly, because while I do not personally partake in marijuana, I believe it's time for this law to change, and I believe there are very good reasons for it, and some of those are just philosophical reasons. Others of those are legal reasons and the legal reality behind it. I was, of course, on Q's show, Out of the Darkness. Q being my man Q, not that other Q guy, but my man Q, Out of the Darkness. They had a dope stream on Sunday. Yeah, that was yesterday. And they had Representative Tim Miller. It's some guy from Alaska named Steve. I don't know who Steve is, but I got the impression that he might be a lawmaker up in Alaska who pushed for the legalization of marijuana up there. And they were having a debate about it. Tim, of course, the eternal boomer, is opposed to marijuana and has such solid arguments as, listen, the majority elected me to not vote for marijuana, so therefore I'm not going to. But then if the majority changes their mind and the majority opinion wants a vote for marijuana to be legal, then I don't have to listen to the majority. So he's got stunning logic, and Representative Tim is a friend of mine, but we vehemently disagree on this topic. I was on there and I realized that not even the lawmaker, not even the guy who writes these laws understands the difference between legalization and decriminalization, the impacts that it has on people. So I'm going to start doing some short videos in that sphere as well. So I'm hoping by giving you a teaser of that longer video it's not going to be that long of a video, right? This is algorithm content coming. And the hopes is that it will entice you to take a look at it, learn a little bit about this very specific subject, and get past one of the talking points, and then share that around. Share that around, because it doesn't just apply in Minnesota. I'm just going to be speaking about Minnesota law specifically. So, other than that, we'll see. We'll see what else we laugh at. One final thing before we get really started here. I have to tell you guys, I can't give you details on this. Can't give you details because it's personal to me. But let's just say that today I found out that these cancel culture acolytes, fanatics, zealots, whatever they are so, well, I guess I could give you. Some of you know that I serve occasionally on a charitable foundation. Okay. And let's just suggest that there were people trying to get me thrown off of a charitable foundation for words on YouTube. All right. So what they want me to not give money to hospitals, to sick kids, to food shelves, to, I guess, all sorts of charitable organizations. They want me removed from giving money to people and programs who need it because they don't like my words on the internet. And I'm not going to go beyond that on the details, but if you know anything about the charitable foundation that I serve on, you would realize like how ridiculous it is for them to try and throw me off of it. But this is where we're at. This is where we're at. So it's so I go do something that is an objective good, right? Like I give money, and it's not mine, like it's the foundation's money. So I'm not I do my own charitable giving, and I do that on my own. I don't talk about it much. But I go and I help decide how to give money from a group that has a bunch of money to a bunch of people who need it, to try and maximize the effectiveness of those dollars for charity. And they want me to not do that because they don't like words. I don't even know what words they don't like in particular. I have a feeling it's because I'm calling fat chicks fat or whatever. Fat, ugly people, fat and ugly. And by the way, not all fat and ugly people are fat and ugly, but these fat and ugly people in particular are. This is the world we want, apparently. This is the world we're after. We're after the world where we can just try and, well, let's just try and get them thrown off of everything. They want you dead. They want me dead. What is the Sam Hyde line? I'm not going to say it, but it's true. It's true. And just look at how disgusting and how often these pedophiles like Doucette and Martin Bettick guy, look at how often they ask about my children. How fixated they are on my children. Sam Hyde is right. Sam Hyde is right. These people are a danger. So, that said, shall we get started? Let's get started. Okay. First, let's hit the early super chats. Sakaki Onsai says, now that Canada has approved blackface, my father, still technically Canadian, has deemed you worthy of his blackface card. All right. Use it wisely. By the way, it looks like an ASM global worker is threatening Kamehacon. Should take a look. Oh, yeah, that's that. I saw something about that. Listen. You guys can't have fun at Kamehacon. You can't. Do you understand? I just told you what they tried to do to me. You think they don't? they couldn't get Kamehacon to ban Vic. Now they've got to cancel Kamehacon. You don't get a con, guys. You don't get one. Nobody gets anything unless it's what they approve. Remember how they're hassling or harassing Dominique Sky, that disgusting bimbo. What did they do to Dominique Sky? You are not welcome here. You're not welcome here because you don't have that guest pass. That is not yours. You don't get it. They aren't transferable. That's not your pass. You don't get that. Get out. That's what they did. They thought ejected Dominique Sky. But is that their crime? No, their crime was Vic providing an affidavit for Vic. How dare they defend him? What they should have done was said, no, we brought Vic back because his mean lawyer threatened us. That's what happened. That's not what happened, is it? Remember, do you guys remember when I did the Kamehacon video, right? Before I announced it was Kamehacon, I just talked about what was going on behind the scenes. I talked about it. And then a couple days later, I talked about it being Kamehacon specifically. And my initial reaction, my gut reaction, when Kamehacon banned Vic, and turned out there was a contract involved and all of that stuff, and they weren't bringing him back. My initial reaction was, let's bury this stupid convention, right? Let's bury him. Let's throw as much heat and negativity from the fans as we possibly can at him. Let's do that. Let's do what they do. Let's bombard this guy. Let's force him into submission. And then I stopped, right? Like, that's my gut. That was my gut, was go after them. Let's bury them. Let's do that. That was my gut reaction. But I didn't do that at all because that's the wrong reaction. Trying to cancel all of these conventions, trying to cancel the good times of a lot of people is the wrong reaction. Was the right reaction, I think, is what we did. I asked people who felt like it to support the show with positivity. But that's not what they want the narrative to be, right? They want the narrative to be, there must have been a twisting of the arm behind the scenes. There must have been threats. There must have been all of this stuff, right? And then the owner of Kamehacon must just hate Vic and Ty, and they must hate everybody. But then the owner of Kamehacon put out an affidavit. And that affidavit kills that narrative entirely. It kills it. Because that affidavit shows that the bullies were Ron Toye and Monica Rial. Have you guys seen that Monica Lewinsky is going to be co-directing a new series about people who have been bullied off of the internet or whatever? Have you seen that? What do you think that's going to be about, right? That's going to be, I'm guessing, my prediction is that that's going to be the Dominique Sky side of the story. Look at how they bullied this person off the internet. Well, what did they do? What did they do? This is the garbage that I get, right? You're bullying these women. You want to see these women ground into dust. You want to see, poor Ron, by the way. Ron, I want Ron ground into dust too. And Funimation. Yeah, all of that. Stop just saying women. I want the men ground into dust. I don't think they're much of men anyway. But I want them ground into dust as well. Stop discriminating. But for somehow Vic is bullying them by bringing a lawsuit, right? Like, you've seen this narrative coming from the brilliant minds of law Twitter. Look at what he's doing to these women. in brackets, who literally just lied to ruin his life. Literally just lied. Just fucking lied to ruin his life. But look at what he's doing to them. How dare he go through the legal process to try and say that these people did him wrong? How dare he not just sit there and take it? They pulled out the strap-on collection, bend over and take it, right? That's what they want. That's the narrative that they're going to run. That's the narrative that Dominique is running. It's the same thing. They bully, they harass, they attempt to cancel. And their bullying and harassing tries to end revenue streams for people, tries to end jobs, tries to end relationships, tries to end lives. Very literally end lives. They don't just want you out of this job. They want you out of all jobs. They want you out of the public eye. They want you off Twitter. They want you off Facebook. They want you off YouTube. They go straight for your throat for months. And then you say a word to the people, one word to the people who are actively trying to ruin your life, and you're the bully. You stand up to the thought who is not only violating the policy of the convention, but she is actually, by not leaving at the first request, potentially engaged in trespass. She's somehow the victim. When they say, hey, you need to leave. You need to go. Anyway, yes, I have seen that some worker is threatening Kamehacon. My best wishes and luck to Kamehacon. Hopefully they get to do another show, but I think the pressure is going to be very high on them. And they need to find a venue with a backbone. They need to probably preempt this and go straight to their venue manager and say, hey, you're going to get a storm and it's garbage. It's bogus. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. But listen, if you don't have fun, this is what I talked about at Matsuri. It's coming to everything you do. Every single hobby. Every single interest. Every sport. Every thought that you have. Every video game. Every movie. Every television show. It's coming to all of them because you cannot get away from it. If you are able to get away from it, you'll disagree with them. If you don't believe me, ask, I don't know, everyone who it's happened to already, which is just damn near everybody. It's going to come to chess. You won't be able to find a nerd culture nerdy enough, okay? You won't be able to. Space rocks, exotic fungi, nothing. Fungi? Yeah, fungi, not fungi. Exotic fun guys. You won't be able to find a space. They can't let you go. They can't let you get away from it. You just can't. If you get away from it for a minute, that's enough relief for you to go, I can deal with this tomorrow. I don't care. But if you can't stop thinking about it, you'll just acquiesce. What about firearms? Yeah, just wait. Just wait. You saw that professor at Charlottesville, right?
Bragging about his AR. I waved him on. James Fields, I waved him on. I got him.
Never mind the fact that that idiot may have killed Heather Heyer. Good job. Good job. Good job, you bald, skinny cuck. You're probably the guy who spooked the weird white supremacist into running over the fat lady. Good job. Live with that. Pointing your gun at him did a good thing, right? You think they're not going to come for gun culture? Oh boy. Competitive shooting events? Just wait till you have to have like the Americans with Disabilities Act category for the shooting event, competitive shooting event. Or like your run through course where you're like picking up the different guns and doing the speed shooting, where it has to have like a wheelchair ramp or whatever. Or has to be like the targets have to be a little closer for women or something. I don't know why they would have to do that, but they will. They will. It's coming. Because it has to. If they don't come for everything, you'll find a place to go. And they will come for everything. Competitive ham radio will be the last space. They'll just outlaw that one. They'll just lobby out ham radio. Okay, sorry. I'm tangenting, and I'm gonna do it. Here's I don't know if this is an advantage or a disadvantage, but this is a challenge to you guys. As there is less immediate content, right? Like updates in the lawsuits that we're following are immediate content that needs to be addressed, needs to be thoroughly looked at. As there's less of that, there's more flexibility to the show. You want to distract me with tangent rants? Have fun. Go for it. I'm all for it. I'm going to get back to drinking a little more. By the way, whiskey snobbery, it's coming here too. Coming here too. That's okay. You bring the feminists, I'll bring the military special. We'll see who's standing at the end. I got biology on my side, baby. You want to see more Phoenix Wright? I'll probably end up doing a Phoenix Wright stream this one. Yeah, so someone reminded me that I'm supposed to do a monthly whiskey review stream. And I have been derelict in my duties. Absolutely. And let me tell you very honestly, I forgot that it was in there. I forgot that was in there. And I will be pursuing a whiskey review stream. And I'm going to try and get some whiskey themed guests on as well. I already mentioned a bartender that I know, and we're gonna do mixed drinks. Hopefully he'll kind of coach us on how to mix drinks, or teach us some interesting cocktails. The guy's great. He's fantastic. So I'm gonna talk to him. I'm gonna reach out to some whiskey YouTubers and see if they'll come on and review whiskeys with me, or help me understand tasting notes. Because I'm gonna warn you, my whiskey reviews, they're gonna be garbage. It's like, oh, this tastes like acetone. I love it. It's really good. But yeah, so that's coming as well. Sorry. Reek says, hi, here's booze money. Also, Dame Pesos. No! Wait, what? What did Dame Pesos do? What did Dame Pesos do? The Dark Knight says SK and South Korea and AU, Australia apparently, voted to ban sex dolls even though it's just latex. Why the hypocrisy when women can objectify men and use plastic sticks and jam it up their snatches and the world continues to spin? But did they ban, so they banned the sex doll, but did they ban like just the pelvic, like, because you can buy just the pelvis, right? Like just the latex pelvis. Doesn't have a doll attached. We want to do the full-on reduction of women to just literally non-functioning reproductive organ replications. That's what we want, right? We don't want like the idea to formulate that there might be a person behind the holes. So we don't want a doll. Like that's anthropomorphizing the sex object. You've got it backwards, friend. I don't know. Do they make man dolls with like with big floppy parts or whatever? I don't get it. God, I need to know. Like, I need to know what Dame Pesos did. I need balls and holes. Oh my God. EA Prima, no, I'm gonna text Amazing Lucas tomorrow. Don't worry. We're working on it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal with sex dolls is. I kind of can fathom the sex doll brothel issue only because of sanitary concerns. I don't think they're great concerns. I think that's the buyer beware risk, right? Like, did they bleach this hard enough? I don't know. But I can at least see that from like a health perspective, they could come after it. But the principled perspective of a sex doll brothel, I don't understand. But banning the sex dolls themselves, like, I don't get it. I don't know. I gotta get Phil from the Dollhouse on. I gotta get him. I'll reach out to him too. I keep saying that and not doing it, but I mean to every time. Proz says, just wanted to say thanks for last Friday's stream. I was working a 12-hour shift and you and crew kept me entertained for 7 of those hours. I particularly liked when Keon was willing to duel Gronk. Peace. Yeah, he's great. That was a great show. If you didn't watch it, YouTube demonetized that one, and I think it was earned. So I haven't challenged that demonetization yet. But they're not going to distribute that around, so make sure you go check it out. That's a dang shame. But if you didn't get a chance to watch that stream from Friday, the Big Brain panel guest starring Drexel was it was long, it was good, and you can take that however you want. Nova Zero says, your representative friend makes Fatty Catty sound smart. Good Arvo Nikki. Enjoy some of my tax return. Hey, thanks, buddy. Thanks. Okay, let's move on. And yes, I see bloody thumbs. I see bloody. I'm having a good day. Don't ruin it by reminding me that Funimation just got Robotech. They did that on purpose. They're mad. They're so mad at me that they got Robotech. Gosh, it pisses me off. The only people worse than Harmony Gold getting Robotech is probably Funimation. Okay. Let's take a little gander. So the Supreme Court tosses challenge to Republican-drawn Michigan electoral maps. Let's see if I can get the ads off the screen. There we go. Whoa! Look at that building. All right, we're not going to read this whole... What on God's name? The ads. Long story short, the Supreme Court's action. So this is a very sparse opinion on that's issued by the Supreme Court today. They just the Supreme Court actually ruled on this in April. Let's see. No. The appellate court ruled on this in April. And then petition for Supreme Court review was filed. And the Supreme Court, I believe, ruled in May that said that redistricting of state election lines is a political question. And we're going to talk about political question is a term of art. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But it's a political question. So no, the Supreme Court has no basis under federal law to look at these. So the theory of this case was that after the 2010 census, the Republicans in Michigan got together and they redrew the voting district maps more favorable to Republicans, trying to cement their own power. Okay, so they drew the map with the likelihood that it would lead to Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives, not just in the state house, but also in the U.S. House, I believe. Yeah. So state legislature and U.S. House of Representatives whose boundaries were crafted purely to advantage Republicans. This is called partisan gerrymandering. And it is very controversial because you get into power and then you look at census data, which census data tends to include party identification and affiliation. And then they draw the districts in a way that would give them a plus advantage at the voting booth. A little insider wording on how, I guess, party analysis works district to district. So your district is going to have a plus rating, and that plus rating is going to be weighted to a particular party. So like a +1 Republican Party weighting would be a district that leans slightly Republican. A +3 Republican Party weighting would be +3 means strongly, at least in Minnesota. It leans strongly in the direction of the Republicans. It's considered safe at like +3 and higher. You're likely to get a Republican victory outside of some unforeseen circumstance, like a sex scandal, a very compelling Democrat candidate who shows Bob and Vagine or something like that. Some way to overcome this massive shift towards a particular party. So you've got to do that. That's how gerrymandering works. You look at the voting data and you redraw the districts to try and make districts that are +3, +4, +5 in your favor, and you sacrifice the other votes. And this is pretty simple to do, right? You have dense urban areas or dense population centers that lean a particular way, and you district those into existing districts for the other party, and you district them out of your voting booth. And that's why you get voting districts that look like this, where they're like, oh, look, here's some semblance of a borderline. It follows like a river or whatever, and then it kind of goes up, and then it goes. Then there's this little narrow part, and it goes up, and then it goes way around this big area. And it captures a huge percentage of population, but it goes like right between two major urban areas. And like as little as possible from those urban areas, but it's got to be connected for the district. You'll see these weird district things if you look up like worst cases of gerrymandering, you can find those. So people are challenging this in court because they say it disenfranchises voters. It steps on their rights to vote in federal elections. It steps on their federal due process rights and stuff like that. And the Supreme Court says, nope. Because you elect your state representatives. So this is a political question. If you don't like them gerrymandering, then you don't vote for them. If you like them gerrymandering, then you do vote for them. So the incentive would be to swing all of the seats Democrat, which is logistically difficult now that it's been gerrymandered, but that doesn't matter. Swing all of the seats Democrat and have them just gerrymander the hell out of it the other way. That's what you get. This is politics, baby. This is a long-standing doctrine called the political question doctrine. And this is something the Supreme Court has worked on for a very long time, and it's how they keep the judiciary out of certain contentious issues. And we'll talk about it more in a minute, but let's just get the facts out of this thing. Okay. Republican drawn electoral districts in Michigan's Democrats said were illegally configured to dilute their voting power. But listen, a gerrymandering is a dick move, right? Like it really is. Like we're going to draw out and we're going to target you, and the value of your vote's going to go down. Going to go down based on us wanting to win. That's what it really is. That's what it really boils down to. Your vote means less because we want to win seats and maintain our power. Okay? So it's a dick move. Let's get that out in the open. The counter arguments to gerrymandering are absurdly weak. Because the counter argument to gerrymandering is basically saying, hey, that's a dick move. Like, disenfranchises voters. How? They still get to vote. It dilutes their voting power. What do you mean? They still get the same weighted vote. It's just that their vote might be automatically moved into a Democrat district or a Republican district. Or if they're deeply entrenched in the opposing party's new district, it'll just remove their ability to have any influence at all because they're deeply entrenched. But But at the same time, they could just move somewhere else. Or they could do what politics is supposed to be about, and you could convince your neighbors to vote the way you vote. Right? Like, this is the idea. And there's this perception that your party identification on your census or on your voter registration card, that party identification is, one, how you will definitely vote, and two, is like a birth choice. That you're stuck with this. You can't possibly vote for anybody else. Your party affiliation is what matters above all. And this all stems from one major problem with the two-party system, in that the parties themselves, while I believe that parties are a natural economic consequence of representative republic elections, I don't believe there's no constitutional basis for parties, and they get all sorts of caveats and special exceptions that normal citizens and normal organizations don't get. So the idea of, well, you're going to reduce the power of the Democrats, because that's what it boils down to. Like, they couch it in this term of, you're reducing the power of a voter, but you're really reducing or diluting the influence or sway of a political action group. Democrats, the Republicans, the Green Party, to what extent the Libertarians may exist, the sovereign citizens, although they don't recognize the authority of the state to hold elections or whatever. It doesn't matter. You're diluting the party more than you're diluting the individual voter. But they have to couch it in terms of who has standing, and the individual voter has standing. The party has no right to have votes, but an individual has the right to have a vote, and they think they have a right to a vote that matters, but they don't. That's the beauty of it. That's actually the greatest part of our system, in my opinion. You don't have I don't know if you know this. You have no right for your vote to count. You actually don't have a right to vote in general. You have a privilege of voting in a participatory manner in our system. There isn't an inherent right of a vote. There's no God-given right or creation-given right or whatever. There is no inherent right to vote. Life, liberty, pursuit of property, or happiness, however you want to word it. Those are the inherent rights that are above all else. All the other rights are also inherent and inferred. And if you notice, voting really isn't one of them. Voting is not in the Bill of Rights. Voting is enumerated in, there's a process by which they would determine votes, but it's highly subjective in the Constitution. And it's actually subject to the sole plenary authority of the states, at least in terms of the presidency and actually in their representatives. There's no book that says from a federal level how states run elections. They have the authority. So it's an interesting sort of proposition to say that somehow by allowing people to vote, but just suggesting that where they live might reduce the ability of them to elect who they want. Well, welcome to Minnesota. Okay. So anyway, they threw it out. In the aftermath of major rulings by the justices in June prohibiting federal courts from hearing such claims. This didn't prohibit them from hearing the claims based on violations of state constitutions, only federal. This is a federal political question. If they were to bring this on state constitutional claims and then it goes up to the Supreme Court in theory could interpret a state constitutional interpretation, or they could interpret the state's constitution in a manner to correct a ruling. That's much more rare than how these things normally go. Typically, that would be reserved for a state constitution or a state Supreme Court. Supreme Court's action voided an order in April by a 3-judge panel to rework 34 districts, blah, 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 blah. The June High Court ruling did not foreclose partisan gerrymandering being challenged in lawsuits based on violations of a state constitution. September 3rd, a state court in North Carolina struck down a Republican state legislature electoral map as unlawful partisan gerrymandering under the state constitution. In partisan gerrymandering, one political party draws legislative districts to marginalize voters who tend to support. Listen to the language here. To marginalize voters who tend to support the other party. No, they don't. They don't care about the individual voter. They do it to cement their own power. Period. It's nothing about marginalization. But again, the way this is written, they don't like gerrymandering when Republicans do it. They really don't. Gerrymandering has been done by both parties extensively for decades. But now that it's being done by Republicans, they really hate it. Lines are typically redrawn once a decade after the census, and in many states, the party in power controls decision making. 9 U.S. House and 25 state legislative districts were at issue in Michigan. A 3-judge panel in Detroit on April 25th ruled in favor of Democratic voters who filed a lawsuit challenging the map, calling gerrymandering a pernicious practice that undermines our democracy, and ordered state officials to draw new maps. And the Supreme Court said, yeah, GTFO. GTFO. We don't care about this. This is a political question. You don't like it? Elect better politicians. You're fired. Get out. So that's the gist of this. But where the political question comes from, okay? And we see bits of the political question here and there. Political question comes from a long line of Supreme Court cases, and I'm not going to cite them off the top of my head because I never remember the specific citations. But there's a long line of Supreme Court cases which deal with the separation of powers specifically. And when the Supreme Court looks at a case and says, does the Supreme Court have any proper place as a check of authority on either the executive or legislative in this question? And sometimes they say yes when they should say no, and sometimes they say no when they should say yes. But on the whole, they look at this and they say, does one particular party have plenary authority over this? And this goes back deep. This goes deep into roots of where the authority of the particular branch comes from. The judiciary, the judicial branch, does not have an elected capacity, right? Your votes don't determine who's in the Supreme Court except tangentially through nomination by a president and an approval by the Senate. Other than that, you're not voting on justices directly. Very, very indirect. So their authority has to be checked by our penchant for a representative republic. People go to the ballot box to pick the people who will govern them. They don't pick the court. They don't pick the court. So the court has to look at this and go, wait, is this something that the people wanted an elected official to deal with? That's the ultimate question in the political question doctrine. Is this something that is so within the purview of one particular branch of government that it would be improper for unelected judges to interfere? And on this, they say yes. Why? Because what does a judge have to do with how a state what does a Supreme Court justice, a federal Supreme Court justice, have to do with how a particular state does its own laws and exercise its own plenary authority over voting practices? Now, if you take a brief refresher to your voting sections of the Constitution, they largely give the states almost unlimited authority to determine how their elections will be conducted and who gets to participate. They let the states do it. To the point where I think there would be an argument, a constitutional argument that could be made that, for example, California could allow only illegal immigrants to cast their votes for the president of the United States. That's how broad I think the voting power is. Now, facially, it's a little bit more restricted than that, but I think that would be a very interesting constitutional question and would get it would get very far in the Supreme Court. Even if they ultimately ruled against that, there would be a strong argument, and I bet it would be a 5-4 decision or maybe 6-3, that the states have plenary authority over their voting practices. Sorry, the minority opinion would be the states have plenary, unchallengeable authority over their voting practices. And if you don't like them, you got to elect different people to your state office, because there is a separation of powers between the three branches. But there's also the federalism system where we have, the federal system, the state system, then the counties and municipalities and towns. That stratification of government matters as well. And so we've got states with authority to draw these things very specifically. And what mess of the Supreme Court is it to get involved in this? They don't have the authority or ability to do so. People are free to elect the government that they want locally. And just because that has repercussions, we got to look at this. They're electing representatives who determine how they elect their representatives. That is the most representative form of government you can think of. That's what the Supreme Court's looking at. That's how they determine these things. The reason I wanted to bring this case up is because it lends into the discussion about the president's communications with Ukraine, for example, about many other actions of the president that are routinely being called challengeable, impeachable, or whatever. Let me give you a little hint. Everything is impeachable. President going to the bathroom is impeachable. Impeachment is an inherently political topic. Entirely political. Impeachment is for something called high crimes and misdemeanors that is determined by Congress. Congress determines what high crimes and misdemeanors are. There is no law about it. It's not a term of art. It's not anything. So with that, impeachment is always a political question. It's also within the sole purview of the House to bring impeachment articles. You don't get to challenge the impeachment articles brought by the House of Representatives. If they did, the Supreme Court would likely say this is a political question. If you don't want the president impeached, you gotta elect different people. Similarly, the president has plenary authority as the sole organ of foreign affairs or foreign relations. And he has a different level of authority. This is why the president is adamantly resisting calls for transcripts of the Ukraine call from Congress prior to them even having a vote on whether or not there's an impeachment investigation, much less an impeachment. The president has unchallengeable authority to manage foreign affairs and foreign relationships, to have discussions with heads of state, to even make legally binding agreements with heads of state without congressional involvement. Treaties are one thing, executive agreements they have the same force of law, they don't require ratification by the Senate, and they're basically equal to a treaty legally. Now, from public perception, it's different, of course. But this is a political question. If the president were to enter into an agreement with the Ukraine right now that did some weird thing, that would be a political question. The Supreme Court would likely stay out of it, so long as it was within the president's purview as acting in the interest of foreign relations, which is very broad and hard to challenge. So, all of that being said, when we see some of these things and we want them to go to court or we don't want them to go to court, one thing we might be seeing more and more of from the Supreme Court is this look at what's called a political question. You say this isn't a question for the court at all, especially if the court is trying to avoid the appearance of partisanship. They've been under a lot of criticism for partisanship lately, so we may see more and more of that. This is a political question. Don't elect them. We got, the last time there was major news on this, we got hints of it in John Roberts' opinion on Obamacare. Now, he did not eliminate the case based on a political question, but lightly couched in that ridiculous monstrosity of an opinion is this line that says it is not the job of the Supreme Court to rescue voters from the decisions that they make. And that was his unwillingness to overturn completely the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. he preserved it in part because we have an elective representative government, and it's not the court's job to overturn that, despite the fact that they do it all the time. And despite the fact that they're actually right, it never was their job to overturn these decisions, but they do it. They do it. Anyway, that being said, that's why I wanted to bring this up. This topic spills over into greater legal questions that exist out there right now. What is what power does the president have to conduct foreign relations? What power does Congress have to demand documents from the president related to those foreign relations? Are these all political questions? I would say yes, because all of them are intended. They're saying, oh, the president's doing this to try and win an election. Well, so are Democrats. Absolutely. But that's part of the political question equation. Are they doing this for the purposes of winning an election or of influencing an election? And if they are, is that within their realm of authority? And yes, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we may not see court resolutions on some of this stuff. But this case is an interesting case study because gerrymandering has been a hot button issue, especially since 2010. And finally, the Supreme Court has come out and said, this is not appropriate for the federal courts. Maybe in the state courts, fine. But no, the Supreme Court is not going to sit here and rescue you from your representatives. Move or elect someone else, period. That's it. So there you go. That's that case. Venomine says, why can't district lines simply be determined through an autonomous system based on population per square mile that is updated every census? Good question. I agree it should be that way. That was actually the vision of how it should be. Basically in 15 square mile squares, I think is what it was. Something like that. Or maybe 15 by 15 mile squares. The idea was that you would have, these segments. Why can't it be this way? Well, my friend, like so many modern problems, you can trace this one right back to two things. The progressive era. I sound like Glenn Beck. Have you guys ever watched Glenn Beck record? That guy is eating his microphone all the time. Listen, you can trace this back to Woodrow Wilson and progressivism, the rise of the progressive era. Progressives ruined everything. And the New Deal. Of course, the New Deal. New Deal, the progressive era, that's where we started to see this shift. And actually, I believe it was in the teens. We had prior to this change, we had an idea that there would be one representative for every 30,000 people. And then we froze the number of representatives at what we have today, 446 plus your 100 in the Senate or whatever. 546, I think, is what we've got. I think that's right. Either way, 546 total Congress people. We froze the number of representatives and instead decided we're going to take the total population and divide it by these numbers. And that's how we're going to determine it. And then we made the math much more complicated to give weight to lower population states and all of that. But we did it. And we decided to freeze the number of legislators. Also, notice what that did. And if you want to know why anything happens in regards to how our elected officials behave, are picked, preserve their power, all of that stuff, you just look at it simply. They never, ever vote to restrict themselves. So sure, 546 or 446 Congress people have more on their plate because they have more votes to do. They have to be aware of more things, on more committees, and do all this stuff. But they also get to justify more pay, get to justify more benefits. Because think about this. If let's say we had kept our 30,000 people per representative. What do we got? I don't even know. 330 million divided by 30,000. We'd have 11,000 Congress people. Well, if we had 11,000 Congress people, we couldn't pay them $200K a year plus lifetime benefits, could we? They might have to be real people with real other jobs. They might have to not be so self-important. Their campaign seasons could be a lot shorter. They would have less money coming into their individual campaigns. Why on earth would any Congress people want that is the real question. That's the real question. Why would the Congress people want to be answerable to only 30,000 people? If you're answerable to 30,000 people, let me tell you, as someone who's answerable to right now, just shy of 77,000 people, you start to remember names, right? You start to see the same people with frequency pop up. And this is double. Think about that. The YouTube subscribers that I have would be over double of what a congressman would have for constituents. Think they might get to know a large portion of them? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a very real reason that we capped the number of representatives. And if you think that now we can't possibly manage more than 546 of these morons, of course we can. Never before would we have been able to. You had things like limitations on travel, limitations on the building size and stuff, all the staff. Of course, they need more staff. That's a self-creating problem. But imagine if you had the 11,000 representatives, they could all remote in. There's not a problem with this. They can conduct their votes electronically. We have unprecedented ability for them to communicate instantaneously, a way that's never been done before. But, I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to pay them all $200,000? Pay them all $100. Who cares? Why am I covering for a corrupt elected body? What are you talking about? Okay. Anyway. So, yeah, I mean, the idea of previous elected persons they had some sort of other sustaining thing. The government wasn't their job. Didn't need to be their job. Their sessions were shorter. They were less burdensome. They didn't have all these committees. And most importantly, they didn't have to run these massive multi-million-dollar election campaigns. But it's all business, isn't it? All business. So there you go. All right. Should we get on to these red flag laws? You guys want to talk about red flags? Nazis? Some Nazis and red flags? This is good. This is interesting stuff. I've got 3 stories saying basically the same thing. I'm going to pick the CNN story. And the reason is because it has the most full, statement from the Popo. Look at some Nazis. Weapons seized from alleged neo-Nazi leader in Washington state. Oh, thank God. Here we go. The Seattle police filed a petition and seized a small cache of firearms and gun parts from the home of Caleb James Cole, according to court documents. A man who Seattle police say is the Washington cell leader of a neo-Nazi group isn't allowed to own any guns for 1 year, according to a court order. If you did not see the stream with Kendra Paris that I did the other day on these red flag laws and how they operate in Florida, you should go watch it. Go watch it. It's interesting. The reason you should go watch it is, let me be very clear. Atom Waffle or whatever is the group. Atom Waffle, the neo, sounds like some like special ego. I don't know. They're apparently the white supremacist neo-Nazi group, Atom Waffle. I don't know if you guys have heard of them or if you're a member. I don't care. They sound like some bad dudes based on the like excerpts that are out there that I've seen. But let me qualify that with, I've seen similar conversations in various discords, like John Michael Kelly's Discord has lots of anti-Semitic and racist propaganda in it. Also lots of pedophilia. It's very weird. Very weird. I've seen this in various Discords. I've seen it in YouTube chats. I've seen it in Twitch chats, DLive, Stream Me, all of these places. I've seen similar things. And when you take these statements out of the context that they're made, they might have been serious. They might have been jokes. We don't know. It's actually kind of impossible to know whether or not someone is joking, whether or not someone is making serious statements. But the reason I bring this up is because these statements, which I've seen them. Heck, I may have seen them in some of the chats here. Similar things when there are particular jokes or memes going around. You'll see some stuff, and maybe some of you guys are serious. Again, I don't know. I don't really care. Like, if you want to be a white supremacist, go be one. Whatever. I bring this up because this is what they're doing. Attack your words. Make sure you know that your words put you in danger of losing your rights. Okay? Be cautious in how you speak. You have to be now. You have to be, because these groups are being infiltrated. Looks like this group there was a leak from a former member, and you can probably laugh at, well, I don't know if you can laugh at it. You probably can. We're gonna watch a short video that shows some of their comments. Okay, and the video is put out by a very neutral organization called ProPublica. We're gonna watch the video that shows some of their comments, out of context, of course, and you guys see if any of this language looks familiar to you. And I don't know. Like I said, I don't know anything about these guys. They may be the worst Nazis in the world. Well, who knows? In September, the Seattle police filed a petition seeking the order and seized a small cache of firearm and gun parts from his home, according to court documents. Oh, wait. An extreme risk protection order filed on October 8th found Caleb James Cole posed an imminent threat of harm to others. He has not been charged with a crime. Let's get into real quick the disingenuous nature of a red flag law. In September, they filed a petition seeking an order. And on October 8th, they found he posed an imminent threat of harm to others. Imminent, at the most charitable in this case, was 8 days for the order, and then 12 more days for the seizure, right? Because this happened, 11 more days. October 19th, this was updated. So, 8 days minimum. I don't know when in September they filed it, but nowhere in my lexicon of imminent is almost 2 weeks of time passing. Maybe more. Imminent danger in legal terms has always meant literally imminent, about to happen now. Not about to happen in a couple days. Not about to happen in a week. This is the weird thing with red flag laws. But this is how they're going to phrase this. He has not been charged with a crime, and that's important. This isn't a crime. It's not a criminal charge. This is thought crime. And fully conceding, this guy may have the worst thoughts on earth. I don't know. I don't care. Cole owned multiple handguns, an AK-47, as well as a concealed carry firearm permit from Whatcom County. Mind you, this is a Washington State county issuing a concealed carry firearm permit. How many crimes has this guy commit before this? Probably 0 crimes outside of petty misdemeanors, maybe like a traffic stop, something like that. Because typically, if you have any sort of violent criminal record or felony, you're not getting a carry permit. According to the petition for the extreme risk protection order, all the firearms were confiscated in September and the permit surrendered. Court documents show. In Washington and other jurisdictions that have similar so-called red flag laws, when a person poses significant danger of causing personal injury to themselves or others by having firearms, family members or law enforcement can seek a court order to require that person surrender their firearms to law enforcement. In the petition for the ERPO, Extreme Risk Protective Order, Seattle police described Cole as a self-admitted member of the Adam Waffen division. My German's not so good. Which they call a neo-Nazi group, and alleged that Cole had recently participated in, quote, training and recruitment efforts at organized hate camps in Washington state. And if you haven't gotten your tickets to your local hate camp, I strongly encourage you to get hate camp tickets today. Bring your hate camp sleeping bag and your snacks. Make sure you bring a flashlight for your hate camp night games. Hate camps. I love how they classify these things because I don't know, there probably are hateful at the camps, but it's just such a weird thing. Like, where you going, Ma? Where you going, son? Yeah, don't worry, Dad. I'm just off to my hate camp. See you later. Grabbing all my guns. My flashlight, sleeping bag. Flashlight, if you open it like this, it does a lantern thing. It's cool so I can read my comics at night or whatever. Okay. Police also cited an interview report filed by U.S. Customs and Border Protection with Cole as evidence of his views after he was detained by the agency following a trip through Eastern Europe in June. So he goes to Eastern Europe where he was radicalized as a Nazi. That's the inference there, right? Where the Nazis, the old Nazis are. Now we've got the new Nazis coming back, and you couldn't say this. You really have trouble saying this on CNN about someone traveling to Iran or Jordan or something like that. But you can certainly say it about Eastern Europe. In the report, CBP said Cole was in possession of an Atomwaffen division flag. And on his cell phone had a photo of people displaying Nazi salutes while holding the flag, and a photo of two people wearing bandanas over their faces standing in front of Auschwitz's concentration camp. So there you go. The petition also referenced his lifetime ban from Canada as a result of his membership in, quote, an organization that may engage in terrorism. Exhibit 1 attached to the petition includes an extensively reported article from ProPublica on Atomwaffen Division's ideology and beliefs, and names Cole. Quote, this is from the Seattle, Dan Nolte of the Seattle City Attorney's Office. Our regional firearms enforcement unit likely prevented a massacre by someone committed to advancing a race war. Washington state residents should sleep a little easier, knowing they have a team empowered to enforce firearms surrender court orders from those considered to be an extreme risk to public safety. Dan Nolte of the Seattle City Attorney's Office told CNN. There is no more bullshit of statements that could have been made by Dan Nolte. No more bullshit could possibly have come out of his mouth than that. Listen. Even if we take at face value that this guy is a race war, hate camp attending massacreist in disguise, they're talking about a guy with a membership in a group that is extensive enough to host hate camps, and they took away the guns from one guy, okay? So, well, now that we got this guy's guns, massacre prevented, race war over, US saved, and the public rejoices, right? Except, logically speaking, if there are multiple members of this white supremacist group that is training at hate camps with firearms, I'm pretty sure another firearm is waiting for him if a short drive away. Right? Is anybody with is anybody with me on this? If I've got an organization of people with all sorts of race war equipped guns and they take away one of their guns, like this guy, you see how many he had, right? He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guns and a couple lowers that could be that could make more guns. So he's got nine completed firearms. He's got 4 pending firearms. Does the other do the? Apparently, he was the armory for the whole unit. I guess, right? Oh, thank God, they got him. Whew. Whew. Okay, so that's what makes this BS. The second thing that makes this BS, he's not been charged with a crime. I'm sorry, it's uncomfortable for us to entertain the idea that someone hateful might have guns. Not been charged with a crime. He does not have a demonstrated mental illness or diagnosed mental illness. Why are we taking away his rights? I probably wouldn't get along with the guy. Probably not. We would have conflicting views, so to speak. For one, I don't do hate camps. I get itchy. And I don't want to spend that much time outside. Not good. 2, my sleeping bag is not up to snuff. Not cool. We wouldn't agree. 3, oh yeah, I don't want a race war, personally. Not into that. So all of this, he hasn't actually done a crime, and they didn't. You notice what's missing from their statement on what's in this cause of action? Where's the imminent threat of harm? Did he make a threat of harm? Did he go on Twitter and say, hey, some of you guys are cool, like don't show up to whatever tomorrow? Like, did he do that? Did he indicate that he was about to? That's not in here. It's not in here. They're touting it like it is, because what they want is they want your soccer mom to read this article and go, oh, thank God. Whew. They got that hateful Nazi monster away, right? That's what they want. Let's see if we've got, here's the ProPublica ads. Here's the ProPublica video. Let me put my headphones on. And so I want you guys to take a look at this stuff. This is, I got to make sure I got this at the right output here. Okay. Make sure. Hold on, there's going to be a bing. Oh yeah, baby. Some Windows binging. Okay, here we go. All right. We'll watch this video. I'm going to pause it a couple because I got to, fair use it or whatever. So this starts off, the title of this video is Inside the Secret Chat Logs of American Nazis, right? So you're going to see all the chat logs, right? You're not going to see a bunch of stuff that doesn't have anything to do with the chat logs. This is Sam Woodward, the alleged murderer of a young man in California. So look at these guys. They got their masks on. They're asking how tall each other is. And, I mean, obviously they're doing a Nazi salute. I get it. Scary music.
We turn next here to a disturbing new report at this hour about the suspect in the murder of college student Blaze Bernstein, found stabbed to death while home in California on winter break. A former classmate from high school, Samuel Woodward, arrested for his murder.
Okay. Woodward is a member of the neo-Nazi group Atomwaffen Division. They dream of starting a race war through terrorism and guerrilla combat tactics. I mean, they might, but this report doesn't show us how they do that. Okay? So I want to point that out. This is one of those things. Enough, I can't disclaim this enough. And I have to, if they're trying to do terrorism and guerrilla combat, or, well, if they're trying to do terrorism, acts of terrorism, like, obviously it's not only my ethical responsibility to say don't do acts of terrorism, but it's also a moral imperative. I don't agree with these people. But there's a lot of people out there on earth I don't agree with. That doesn't mean they should have their rights taken away if they haven't committed a crime. And I don't, saying they dream of starting a race war through terrorism, we're going to get to the evidence in just a second. And I don't think it indicates what they say it does.
Race war now!
Ooh. Okay. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. Can't say those words on YouTube. Thankfully, they'll ban those guys off of YouTube. Here's their here's their flyers. Flyers. I can't read their flyers. Their flyers are not their persona non grata. Okay, let's see. I'll read. Maybe I can maybe censor it. A new world order will rise from ninja stars, from the ashes of the oppressed Jewish person system. They're not a fan of the Jewish person. It says Atomwaffen Division. Join your local Nazis. Find us at this website. And then it says, follow your fellow bundles of sticks. And apparently, I guess when sticks fall out of trees, they fall on ropes or something. Obviously, making a joke here. But this is, they are against, not only do they not like the Jewish person, they do not like LGBT people. 30% of suicides are LGBT related. 34% of trannies attempt suicide. Over 40% of bisexual people consider suicide. So that seems like a weak stat to me. P.S. There are only 2 genders get over it, is what the skull here is saying. So this is join your local Nazis. So again, these are clearly not the most welcoming of individuals in the world. They seem kind of terrible. But that said, I hate to point this out, but hate speech is still protected speech in this country. You are allowed to hate. It's built in. And people don't like that, but that's how it is. So let's move on. Scary music again. We recently obtained confidential material about Atomwaffen, including 250,000 messages. We're going to see all those, right? We're probably going to see about like 20 messages, but Woodward uses a handle Arn. And 250,000 messages is not very many in an active chat. Like, you'll get there pretty quick, I'm guessing. His chat posts are homophobic, anti-Semitic, and racist. Other members celebrate his alleged murder of Blaze Bernstein, who is gay and Jewish. Heinrich says Arn was the one-man gay Jew wrecking crew, TBH. So that's that isn't good. Samuel Gay Jew Wrecking Crew Woodward. So this is January 31st. I wonder when that arrest was made. I wonder if they're... Oh, I think they cover it. I think that the arrest is made early January. So this is them talking after the fact. Atomwaffen members engage in arms training at hate camps. Where did they get the footage of the, Nazis walking through the woods? Was that leaked? I want to know that. Where did they get the footage of the Nazis walking through the woods with the masks on? The most recent one was in Nevada, not far from Death Valley. Death Valley. There they are. Oh, you can't see it because of the YouTube thing here, but it says that ProPublica did not alter these images. So these little animated skull helmet things, those were put on by the picture takers or the picture publishers, not by ProPublica. ProPublica is not interested in protecting the identity of these people. So I want to put this here. Obvious Fed gay op, Nick. What is this, Law and Order? Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that because they talked to a Fed gay opper in one of the articles I have. I thought that was pretty interesting. So here's some more of these guys. We were able to identify several Atomwaffen leaders using chat logs and other sources, including a former Atomwaffen member and local law enforcement agents. So here we go. This guy's name is Rape, y'all. Just so we're clear, this guy's name is Rape. On September 30th, Rape says we must maintain a public image of strength and uncompromising ruthlessness in dealing with enemies of our race. So I don't know if he means the white race or like a foot race. It's ambiguous. I'm lawyering. His name is Rape. Oh my goodness. That's Rape Face. If anybody, next time you see someone on Twitter suggest that so-and-so has Rape Face, you now know what they mean. That is Rape Face right here. Rape is John Cameron Denton. He is the leader of Atomwaffen he lives in Conroe, Texas. He is the leader. This is getting to know your domestic terrorist. John Cameron Denton, named after a town in Texas, but lives in a different town in Texas. He is Rape. I am the Rape. What are these people? Sorry. Okay. He has beautiful hair, though. Nazgul. So, not only do they have rape, but they have the power of Sauron on their side. Nazgul says both Hitler and Stalin did nothing wrong. The kulaks and Jews had it coming. So this guy opens with a meme and closes with a terrible line. That's the face of Sauron. You thought it was just a giant eye on top of a stone penis, but no. In fact, this is what Sauron looks like. Again, getting to know your domestic terrorist. He has not quite enough testosterone for a full beard and mustache. And he's still going through the end stages of puberty. He is John Cameron's younger brother Grayson Patrick Denton. Let's see what other, Prohibition had Machine Gun Kelly and Al Capone. They had the real mobsters. Whew. Okay. Now, I don't want to minimize this too much because one of these guys did allegedly stab some kid to death, allegedly for being gay and Jewish. I don't know if they've proven that in court yet. I have to maybe look it up and see. I think this video was back in 2018, so they probably resolved that court case. They did end up charging the Sam Woodward or whatever with a hate crime. Arn, that first guy, they charged him with a hate crime due to these chat leaks. Actually, they didn't have the evidence at the beginning to charge him with a hate crime, but somehow due to like the chat leaks and stuff and his membership in this group, they added the hate crime modifier to the charge. So I want to point that out, that of course murder is very serious. A bunch of LARPers in shooting guns in the desert yelling racial slurs is less serious. It really is until they decide to take action or threaten to take action or try and intimidate someone effectively. Then it becomes serious. It really does. But until then, I have a hard time. I just have a hard time with it. Like there are people actually out there killing people and threatening people. There are cartels and gangs on the street that are using this influence every day, and these guys are going to hate camp. Wonder what the Bible studies are like at hate camp. We will now read from Leviticus again. Kiamer. Oh wait. I don't know who Kiamer is. I don't know what this is a reference to. So I'm not familiar with the popular understanding of this screen name. It says, whores are whores, and they are only good for two things. Effing, which at least they recognize that literal professional responsibility, and catching bullets afterward, which I think that's probably not part of their job description. So there he is. There's that guy. How many whores has this guy banged and shot? That's a double bang. There it is. This is the guy. I mean, come on. Why? Oh, these guys are the race war. Kamehacon is Caleb J. Cole. He leads a cell in Washington State. This guy fought his way to the top, right out of middle management, straight up to the executive level. Horrorwolf says we're only going to inspire more copycat crimes in the name of Atomwaffle. All we have to do is spread our image and our propaganda. This is 2 weeks after Woodward was arrested, January 30th. So that gives us an idea. So around January 15th, Woodward was arrested. Let's see. So this is where I guess he's looking to create the copycat crimes by suggesting they spread their image and their propaganda. So there you go. Never mind. Horrorwolf is this guy, which is getting, I mean, a little bit, I don't know. Sean Michael Fernandez, a leader of the Texas cell. Whoa! They let a Fernandez in? Did they check? Did they do a 23andMe first to make sure he was of the pure blood? I don't know. This isn't okay. How could Atomwaffen let in a Fernandez? Did they like set up their LinkedIn application process to do a double blind? Like, well, this guy's qualifications get him in. He's hired. Fernandez. God damn it! Oh, I see you guys saying that Fernandez is a Spanish name. This guy's in Texas. I don't know if that Fernandez is of Spanish descent or somewhere closer to Texas. Could be. Who knows? I don't know. I just find it hilarious. Oh my gosh. Commissar! All right, so Commissar is playing Hearts of Iron and explaining how you win. The infrastructure attack does two things. Cuts off the system's ability to move and communicate. You would want to target things like substations, water filtration plants. Okay, listen. I have seen this discussion 1,000 times. This is just like the most basic bitch level of wargaming that could possibly occur in a chat room. I cannot accept that this guy is legitimately planning the race war by saying you have to target substations and water filtration plants. Oh, you also have to, do you guys know you gotta capture power plants? You might need to cut off the you might have to take out a bridge or two so that there's no transportation directly into or out of a particular area, and then you could surround it, starving it of supplies, power, and communications. Like, I mean, come on, this is again, these guys may be terrible, but look at how they're gearing this. They're gearing this to instill fear. ProPublica is attempting to instill fear with this. And maybe their fear is deserved, but let's take a look at what Commissar looks like. There's Commissar. That's Michael Lloyd Hubsky. He leads a cell in Nevada. His forehead leads a cell in Oregon. Let's just be clear about that. From here down, that's a cell in Nevada, but this massive amount of real estate goes straight up to Oregon and leads a cell there. Commissar with a K is doubly terrifying. When Denton's name was previously leaked, he responded in the group's chat room So here's some more. I don't know what he's got the old English text on. I don't know what that is, but he has the Nazi salute there and the long Nazi hair. Didn't Nazis have like really close crop short hair? Were there any ponytailed Nazis? Has that been documented? Rape says, they think they can stop rape? They think they can stop me? My real name ain't gonna keep me from raping the whole population. All of it. Just all of it, though. Oh, he was doxxed. They doxxed him. They're so... doxxed rape. They got him. Oh. Oh my goodness. Leaks have made Atomwaffen's members nervous. He sounds nervous, right? When he says, I'm gonna rape everybody. That's a sign. It's afraid. Just never admit to anyone about being a member of Atomwaffen, even if you're arrested or something. Deny. They got Black Israelite. That guy's in here. TBH. I don't even know what TBH means. We need to stay out of the news for a bit after all this BS because having too much exposure can F us over. Now, this, of course, is also 2 weeks after Woodward's arrest. And I'm saying, hey, we need to stay out of the news because having too much exposure can F us over. Yeah, it can, because that guy got tagged with a hate crime charge for what's in the chats. And now let me blow your mind a little bit. I'm not blowing most of your minds, I know. But what if this is just a bunch of weirdo, scrawny, soy white guys LARPing? Like, what if that, and one of them happened to be a terrible person who did a heinous crime? Okay? Like, what if that's what really happened? These are a bunch of guys who are misguided. They're LARPing. They're repeating memes. They're saying hateful things. They're like 22 to 26 years old. They're rebelling against society and the world. And they're doing all of this because they haven't had a woman stop them with a kid, slow them down and make them get a job or whatever. Let me pose that hypothetical that what if this is the problem with thought crime, right? Our thoughts change, our minds change, our attitudes change, we mature, we change over time. So sure, we can expose all these weirdos. We can talk about all the horrible things that they do. And we can actually and likely, like those guys that are on this video, if you think that they're not done for life, you want them, by the way, do you want them not doing the race war? You want them to not do the race war? Do you understand that an attack on the character that is lasting and permanent through the internet is the same as an attack on the infrastructure of a city? It's an act of war, in a way. And it serves to isolate and entrench. Because once you're isolated, you have two options. You surrender, or you resist as hard as possible. So you take these weird young guys who are saying objectively terrible things. And they're doing objectively terrible things. But maybe most of them aren't out there murdering people and don't really know what a race war is and have no ability or intention to create one. But one guy stabs a kid, and that is absolutely terrible, and that guy deserves whatever he's getting. But now you've cemented the radicalization through naming and shaming. of these other people. And you might have done it to LARPers or memers or something. But no more. Now they're going to immediately retreat to the bosom of Atomwaffen. And since this is a gay LARPing white supremacist group, you know that is a furry and ample bosom with a giant penis waiting below. Like, that's the ultimate, that's what's going to happen. That is a foxkin with a giant throbbing human penis and a big pair of titties that they're welcoming the little Atomwaffens into before they get fooded or whatever. That's going to happen. But maybe not. Also, the problem with thought crime is you don't know. And no matter what is in these messages, none of this is a crime yet. None of it is. It's a hard thing for normal people to understand, is that this isn't criminal activity. It's not. It's weird. It might be hateful. Absolutely, some of their words are hateful if they mean them. It's hateful, it's distasteful. You probably wouldn't be friends with these guys. Look at them, they probably don't have that many friends outside of Atomwaffen anyways. But let's be honest, they didn't do a crime yet. Maybe they're planning on it. Maybe this is a good thing, I don't know. What? What happened? No! Oh, no! Okay, good. I accidentally clicked on an ad. Oh, kill me. Another minute or so. Despite their vow of secrecy, we were able to identify members in 23 states. Oh, there's the Minnesota Atomwaffen! Guys, I gotta go. No. Oh my goodness. Sam Woodward was active in the California cell. So this guy, look at this. This is probably a communist hanging out here in Atomwaffen. Blaze Bernstein's body is found there. Never mind the fact that that is like a several 100-mile area circle. But his body was found somewhere within that several hundred, maybe even in the ocean. We know the group held trainings in those locations. Those are hate camps. Look it up. Okay, January 5th. This is like 3 days after he allegedly murdered the kid. It says, I just wanted to let you all know I love you so much. This guy knows he's about to get tagged for the murder. And he says this. That means race war. 3 days after Blaze Bernstein was found stabbed to death. Okay, so that's the reporting that they've done. I'm not going to show all the credits. Thanks to ProPublica for sharing that video. Also, Washington Examiner for sharing that video from ProPublica. I guess I got to give them credit for it. Let's take a look at actually ProPublica has... They won an award for documenting hate. They won whatever the documentary award is. They won that for documenting the hate. This is an article updated August 3rd, 2018. It was published February 23rd of 2018. So this is part of their chat logs. Part of their chat log video, I think, the evidence they got of this. Okay. So inside Atomwaffen, I'm not going to go through the whole article. I just want to hit a couple points. As it celebrates a member for allegedly killing a gay Jewish college student. ProPublica obtained the chat logs of Atomwaffen, a notorious white supremacist group, when Samuel Woodward was charged with killing 19-year-old Blaze Bernstein last month in California. Other Atomwaffen members cheered the death, concerned only that the group's cover might have been blown. I don't think... What the... Get out! Be gone, thought! Sorry about that random noise. That was great. I don't think that this is fair. I think they were concerned that the cover had been blown, mainly because, I'm sorry, if you're a member of any group and a group member murders someone, especially someone in a particularly protected class, suddenly that group comes under scrutiny. And you may have said things in that group that that would be taken out of context. For example. So this is an update on August 3rd. Orange County District Attorney Tony Rakakakas on Thursday announced that Samuel Woodward would now face a hate crime charge as part of his prosecution for the murder of Blaze Bernstein. ProPublica revealed earlier this year that Woodward was a member of a neo-Nazi group called Atomwaffen Division. According to the Orange County Register, Rakakakas said, "We will prove that Woodward killed Blaze because Blaze was gay." They don't even care that he was a Jew? Oh, those sons of bitches! How dare they disrespect the great nation of Israel? He was a Jew. His name was Bernstein. They didn't kill. They're only California. Leave it to California to only care about his gayness and not about his Jewness. Rakaka said investigators had uncovered material on Woodward's phone and computer that was graphic and chilling. That's hentai. This is definitely hentai. And spewing hate towards almost every protected group. With the hate charge, Woodward, if convicted, could face life in prison without the chance of parole. Shouldn't he have that for the murder anyway? Like, let's be honest. Why do we need hate crimes to put murderers away for life? I'm okay with life sentences for murderers. Late last month, ProPublica reported the California man accused of killing a gay and Jewish University of Pennsylvania student was an avowed neo-Nazi and a member of Atomwaffen Division, one of the country's most notorious extremist groups. Guys, just so you know, I have shown you the pictures of the leadership of one of the most notorious extremist groups. Can we take a moment and all rest easy that no one has heard of one of the most notorious extremist groups until a kid was murdered? Like, this is weird sounding, but our extremist groups are so non-notorious that one murder catapults you. No, that one murder, I don't know if that catapulted them into most notorious groups or if they had 0 murders before it and were still one of the most notorious. Maybe they don't understand what notorious means. I don't know. Let's see. The news about the murder suspect Samuel Woodward spread quickly throughout the U.S. and abroad. He's accused of fatally stabbing this Blaze Bernstein, burying his body in an Orange County park. The report, it turns out, was also taken up in the secretive online chats conducted by members of Atomwaffen Division, a white supremacist group that celebrates both Hitler and Charles Manson. "I love this," one member wrote of the killing, according to copies of the online chats obtained by ProPublica. Another called Woodward a one-man gay Jew wrecking crew. I wonder, like, "I love this," comma, quote out of order. Like, more soon joined in. "What I really want to know is who leaked that shit about Sam to the media." At least one member wanted to punish the person who had revealed Woodward's affiliation with Atomwaffen. Raiders and trats. Oh my goodness. Rats and traitors get the rope first. Very scary. Are these guys tall enough to get a rope over a branch? I don't know. Encrypted chat logs obtained by ProPublica, some 250,000 messages spanning more than 6 months, offer a rare window into Atomwaffen Division that goes well beyond what has surfaced elsewhere about a group whose members have been implicated in a string of violent crimes. Like many white supremacist organizations, Atomwaffen Division uses Discord, an online chat service designed for video gamers, to engage in its confidential online discussions. We gotta ban Discord. Discord is enabling the white racists, the white racist everybody. It's not cool, Discord. Do we need a petition? Can we get a change.org petition against Discord? In a matter of months, people associated with the group, including Woodward, have been charged in 5 murders. Another group member pleaded guilty to possession of explosives after authorities uncovered a possible plot to blow up a nuclear facility near Miami. See, this is more interesting. So we've got 5 murders now. And a group member pleading guilty to possession of explosives. So this is cool. I don't mean this is cool. I mean, this is cool because we've got evidence now that there is maybe some organized extremist activity. I've never heard of these guys. Have you... Show of hands in the chat. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Has anybody heard of Atomwaffen Division before this show? I've never heard of these guys. There's a 1. There's a 1. There's a couple 1s. Is anybody in the chat? 3 if you're a member. Put a 3 out if you're a member of Atomwaffen. And if you want to have an exclusive interview here, we'll protect your identity in the name of journalism. I am so curious about this group now. There's a 3? That can't be real. If you're actually a 3, please email me, ricadalaw@ricada.org. If you're a member of Atomwaffen and would be willing to talk under purely confidential nature. Nothing, of course, nothing would be disclosed as my journalistic integrity requires. Nothing would be disclosed without your permission. But if you would email me, I would be very interested to hear from a member of Atomwaffen about this organization. If this is real, like, do they embrace this stuff? Do they disavow? I want to know. There isn't a counter narrative out there. So if there is a real one, email me. I'd love to talk about it. Okay. All right. So this is the same video, secret chat logs. I'm not gonna replay it. Group's propaganda makes it clear that the Atomwaffen, the word means nuclear weapons. Oh, hey, there you go. That's the German lesson for today. This is educational. Embraces Third Reich ideology. Well, did the Third Reich fail? Like, shouldn't they embrace, like, Fourth Reich ideology? Preaches hatred of minorities, gays, and Jews. Apparently, Jews aren't minorities. Atomwaffen produces YouTube videos. They have YouTube showing members firing weapons and has filmed members burning the U.S. Constitution, setting fire to the American flag. The organization, by and large, cloaks its operations in secrecy and bars members from speaking to the media. You're not barred from speaking to this media. Chat logs, unusually extensive. May have as many as 20 cells around the country. Small groups of indeterminate size and blah, 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 blah. Members have discussed using explosives to cripple public water systems, destroy parts of the electrical power grid. One member even claimed to have obtained classified maps of the power grid in California. That's a bold claim. Pixar, it didn't happen. Throughout the chats, they laud Timothy McVeigh, former soldier who bombed the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. Charleston church shooter Dylan Roof and Anders Breivik. Oh no. Did they call Anders Breivik a saint? Woodward posted several messages in the days after his murder, but before he was arrested and charged, in one thread, he told his fellow Atomwaffen members that he was thinking about the passing of life and was truly grateful for our time together. So he was contemplating suicide. Is he an LGBT? Maybe he's just bisexual. The 40% of bisexual people contemplated suicide, so statistically, Woodward must be bi. If he's something harsher, he would have already done it, apparently. According to their propaganda. Has pleaded not guilty. They said they are exploring whether the murder constituted a hate crime, which they determined yes, it had. They'd known each other in high school in California and appear to have been reconnecting somehow shortly before the killing. Uh-oh! Wait a minute, is he actually gay? Is Woodward actually gay? Is he going to use the gay... When your legal defense is the Kevin Spacey meme, was Woodward a gay? Because if Woodward was a gay, that would get rid of the gay hate crime, right? Oh, I hope his lawyers are exploring the Spacey defense. Look, I've chosen to live out my life in prison as a gay man. Although that might be risky to say. Oh my God. What is happening? What is happening out there? A brief aside. Politics aside, your personal hate groups aside, my personal hatred of representatives who don't want to legalize weed or whatever aside. The infuriating thing about this is, of course, that people on Twitter like think that you and I are part of groups like this. They do. They do. Like half my friends, 50% of my friends account for 13% of the population. Right? Like, you guys keep meeting my friends online and most of them are black. But they think that we hate other races, and some of you might, I don't know. They think that I do. I clearly don't. I don't care. I've never cared. I grew up, listen, when I lived in Houston, Texas, I lived in a neighborhood where I was the minority. I was the minority at my elementary school. I was the minority until moving to Minnesota, in which case I became like the 95% majority. And that was always weird. That was very weird to me. It was very weird to me. I was very much used to extreme amounts of racial diversity. And not that I like sought it out. I just never cared. It was part of how I grew up. It's not like I have some special enlightenment over other people or anything. I never claimed that. My growing up situation meant that my friends were largely when I was really young, my friends were more often than not a minority than they were a white person because of where I lived. That's just how it went. And so then when I moved to Minnesota, I had white friends, I had minority friends. It never mattered to me. That's how I grew up. So, but the people on Twitter have LARPed. They're LARPing too, right? They're LARPing in the same race war that these guys are. That's what they can't acknowledge about themselves, is that they're as much engaged in and invested in the race war as the worst Atomwaffen LARPer. Like, they think that it's coming. They think that it's happening. They've just picked the opposite side of the other party to the race war. These people are weird. And they think that you and I are in these groups. They think that you and I, when we say a joke, for example, that we mean literally to murder someone, or that we mean literally that someone is of less value to us. That may or may not be true, but they believe it is always true. This is weird. This is weird. This is a weird time to be alive. Because we were past this in 2007. And then we were no longer allowed to be past this. And you, how dare you? How dare? Don't you know that there are 26 kids in Atomwaffen LARPing right now about the race war? Some of them are crazy enough to kill someone. That means that we're on the verge of a literal war between the races. That's their extrapolation. That's their next step, is that there will literally be a war amongst different races with like commanders and battles and pitched infantry skirmishes. They think that's coming just as much as these guys do. But let's find out where this comes from. I'm going to skip down. This guy studied extremists for decades. Oh, good. Cares. 5 key Atomwaffen members. Look at these soy-filled things. Yeah, look at them. Look at that. If that's not the hardest of hard. Ugh. Where's the Fed? Oh boy! That's the naughty language. Woodward also railed at mongrels and Jews and gays. He praised Mein Kampf and seemed to regard siege as something akin to divine revelation. Could they not, like, they had to take a photo of the screen? Maybe the grid pattern is genetic on this guy's face. Maybe that's why he's so mad. Like, couldn't they just do a screen capture to get this picture? Someone literally held their cell phone up to a CRT monitor or whatever to take that. I thought you guys were journalists. Where is it? We really owe those Jews at ProPublica. Uh-oh. Where's the federal... Hold on. There's a federal agent article. Did I somehow miss it? Oh, God.
Authorities in...
Oh, no. Get out of here. No, I didn't want to click on that. God damn it. I thought I had the one from the Fed.
The captain has turned off the seatbelt sign.
I don't want this. No! Oh, my God. I'm sorry. There was one of these articles had an interview from an FBI agent whose job was to infiltrate these. How did I miss this? Give me a second. Let me find it. Oh, whoops. False alarm. Hold on. I'll find this real quick. Infiltrate. Here we go. It's a different ProPublica article that I forgot to keep up. So here we go. All right. Holy God, that was loud. Okay. All right. So this one is, he spent years infiltrating white supremacist groups. Here's what he got to say about what's going on now. So this is a Fed, Michael German, a former federal agent, sees cause for praise and concern. So this guy infiltrated white supremacist groups. Late in 2017, they began writing about a California white supremacist group called the Rise Above Movement. Members had been involved in violent clashes in Charlottesville and several cities in California. They're proud of their violent handiwork, sharing videos on the internet and recruiting more members. Our first article was titled, Racist Violent Unpunished, a White Hate Group's Campaign of Menace. More articles followed in another pro-Nazi, neo-Nazi group. Atomwaffen was exposed. Michael German, a former federal agent who spent years infiltrating white supremacist groups, said the work of the groups constituted organized criminal activity. And he asked in so many words, where's the FBI? Where is the FBI? If they have found documented organized criminal activity, go after them, right? Federal authorities wound up arresting 8 members of the Rise Above movement, and 5 of them have since pleaded guilty to federal riot charges. This summer, FBI Director Christopher Wray testified that over the last 9 months, the Bureau's domestic terrorism investigation had led to 90 arrests, many of them involving white supremacists. In recent weeks, there have been additional arrests. A Las Vegas man said to be affiliated with Atomwaffen and a young man in Chicago affiliated with Patriot Front, another white supremacist group. The activity concerning the threat of white racists has gone beyond arrests. There have been a variety of proposals making their way through Congress aimed at creating federal criminal statutes that might make prosecuting domestic terrorism threats more effective. FBI Agents Association has supported new laws. But this guy has an interesting point. So they ask him about the handful of arrests. He says, first, the arrests of several white nationalists allegedly planning attacks of violence since the El Paso attack demonstrate beyond question that the FBI has all the authority it needs to act proactively against this violence. So this guy's saying no new laws. So that's one good thing about this guy. One good thing. I worked successful domestic terrorism undercover ops against white supremacists in the 90s, and no one ever suggested we didn't have all the authority we needed. It's hard to know if these arrests mark a new increase in attention to far-right violence because the Justice Department doesn't keep reliable data on investigations and prosecutions.